Total meltdown on my side of the fence. But let's get back into we talk gimbals and it's over.
Right, right. And what happened is the high tech. You know, when I used to manage. Wait, I'm gonna hear twice. I'm gonna get rid of one.
There you go. Can you hear us? I can't hear him.
When I used to manage high tech um, computer centers, when something like that disconnect would happen, I would just say, sun, wind, moon, tide. It's all good. We're back.
Yeah, well, I got the third world country excuse. So,
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one.
third
Okay,
world country problems.
to gimbal or not to gimbal? That's
That
the
is the
question we're
question.
discussing. So when you're building a rod, you get down to what butt you're going to put on the larger end of the rod. Hopefully, it really should go on the larger end of the rod, not the skinny pointy end. Um, you got to decide what kind of butt to put on there, and like like most things that go on that rod, the question should come down to, well, how are you going to use that rod? What do you need it to do? And I'll make an example of how important it can be. Um, if you if you have mostly or are building a rod mostly for casting, and you're just going to set it against a rail when not in use, or put it on a rod holder, against the side of a cabin or something like that. Um, then the only time the butt of that rod is really going to matter is when you have a fish on and you jam it into your hip or your groin and you start reeling. And in that case, a gimbal, which Tiffany will show us examples soon, but they have edges and they will hurt your skin and maybe your muscles if it's a big fish and you're really holding it into yourself. It can hurt. In that case, a nice, soft, rounded butt um, is easier. It's just easier to hold up against your thigh or your groin because it doesn't hurt so much. So there are cases when it can really matter, like you definitely don't want a gimbal on there. You want a smooth, round edge. But now let's say that, what are reasons why you would want a gimbal? Gimbal, not gamble, gimbal. There's a difference. You could gamble on a gimbal, but yeah, you know the idea. So if you put a rod in a rod holder on your boat, whether it's a straight rod holder or whether you put an out rodder, which is gimbaled, into a rocket launcher on a boat, or rod holder on the gunnel, and then it aims the rod out sideways, it's gimbaled also. And if you put your rod in that, if you do not have a gimbal butt, then vibration and moving of the boat, it's slowly going to turn and your reel is going to be facing downwards. Uh, if you're using a spinning reel, it's going to be facing downwards anyway, so it probably won't turn. But in that case, probably most of us are going to, especially in saltwater, are going to use a conventional type reel instead of a spinning reel. In that case, it's going to turn, and that reel, because it's the heavy part, is going to end up being downwards. So when you get a strike, when you get bit, then you're going to have to grab that rod and turn it around before you can use it. Okay, that's doable. It's not that great a thing, but it's also just a lot better if you can keep an eye on your rod and it's on the upside. So there's a case where you really, really need a gimbal on the large, thick end of your rod. Um, A lot of boats will have just rocket launchers mounted up high or something for spare rod storage. Many of them are gimbaled also. And it's optional here. Do you really need a gimbal on your rod? Well, does it matter how it sits in that? Probably not, but we all like them looking good and all the reels facing the same way. So a gimbal is nice there too. Um, Another time when a gimbal is really helpful is when you're trolling. And here you may have, in your gunnel, your rocket launchers, rod holders are kind of aimed a little bit outwards, and that helps spread your trolling pattern. What I like to do, what Captain Tiffany and I have done a bazillion times, is we use out rodders, and those go into the rod holders in the gunnel, and then they aim a rod way out to the side, almost a 90-degree turn out there. And what that does is it spreads the trolling pattern. And you might run 2 long ones from those and then 2 short ones right from your corners, your stern corners where rods are mounted more straight up. And there you have a nice spread, and a lot of people do it that way. In this case, you really want to be able to watch your reel to make sure it's not slipping a little bit, when you go up on a swell and a little more pressure, is pulling a little line out. You want to watch that reel. So here you want a gimbaled rod, but so that it goes into that bar or that bolt at the base of the rod holder and holds that rod still so that the reel is facing straight up. There's some of the considerations for when you want a gimbal. And so we painted a fair number of scenarios here where the gimbal is handy. Just remember that when you take that out, plant it on your hip or your groin, start fighting the fish, the gimbal is hurting you.
Well, I'm going to say something. I've had experience with this. I don't
That you have.
I don't have any long pants. I wear flip flops and shorts everywhere I go and everywhere I fish. And Hook, back in the 80s, I have a horrible story.
Oh,
I never wore underwear back in the 80s. And I know, I'm sorry, sharing too much, but rod goes off, gimbal butt, grab the rod, start to reel in the fish, rip my shorts because the gimbal is very dangerous. Rip my shorts, rip them. Just totally rip the crotch right out of the shorts.
is that Free Willy?
Oh my gosh. And yeah. And this has happened so many times because when you grab that rod and it's gimbaled, you better have a fighting belt. You just got to have one because it's instantaneous hate. And if you dress like I do, you don't really dress for anything else but danger.
With an aluminum gimbal?
Yeah,
With the
aluminum,
corners?
metal, whatever. In the 80s, we didn't have there wasn't a lot of synthetic compound butt. It was aluminum butt or a metal butt. I don't remember what exactly it was, but I know it ripped my shorts right in half, and I was hanging loose, feeling free. And yeah,
That brings up a really good point, though. A rod belt is kind of the solution for having a sore hip or groin, from taking the pressure of the rod butt. So if you look at rod belts like that, some are gimbaled and some are not. And so you want to take a look at what you got. It'd be nice to have a match to where your rod belt does not have a gimbal, nor does your rod butt have a gimbal. Or if the rod belt is gimbaled, then it'd be good if your rod was gimbaled also. So in that case, and I'm glad you brought it up, you have two two different things, and it helps to make sure that there is a match. Is it going to make you lose a fish? Probably not, but it's going to help you fight the thing better.
Absolutely. Well, if you don't, and gang, we're using a lot of terms you probably aren't following along with us. I just want to let you know, when you got a rod butt that has a gimbal in it, or a rod belt that has a gimbal in it, what it is, it's just a pin. It's just a solid pin running across that reel where you're going to put your reel in the belt. And
Like Tiffany showed.
and then if you don't have a gimbal, a lot of times you don't get that rod all the way into the belt. And down here in Mexico, you know, everybody needs a fighting belt. I don't care if it's a 2-pound fish or a 200-pound fish. They got to have a fighting belt. And we can run into that all the time. First thing I do when I'm in charge and I'm running the boat, we grab our rod belt and we pull those gimbals out of it, because there's too many times where the rod that got bit is not the rod with the gimbal. It's just happened. You'd like to think that the gimbal gets bit, but you know, there's too many times where it does not get bit. And then it's a giant hassle because the guy's trying to, I can't get it in the rod belt. And you're like, calm down, just settle down. We got to figure this out right now. A lot of the new belts too, they have that gimbal butt, or that pin that pulls out of it and hangs on the side, and you can just shove it back in. You know, most boats we're not all that technical, but
that does solve a problem though, because you just described a mismatch, you know, where where the rod butt on the rod that got bit doesn't have a gimbal, but your rod belt does have a gimbal, and it just doesn't want to go in as far enough into that rod belt hole to give you the level of comfort that you need, and sideways action control and things like that. So, you know, that they have come out with ones that have a removable gimbal pin. I mean, that's great. That allows you to instantaneously match your rod belt to whichever rod. And Captain Dave's right. You don't always have control over which one they're going to bite. You know, it lets you make that instant correction to where it's a match.
And I just want to let everybody know, for some reason, we had a really horrible start to this show. The restream clicked off and everything. Anybody that's leaving a comment on YouTube right now, we can't see them. Can you guys see them, Tiffany or Dave?
The only one I see is from Ryan Coleman that says,
right,
"Are gimbals more designed for jetty fishing or surf fishing?" But
no,
that's
Tiffany,
all I see.
That's not YouTube. That's Facebook.
Okay.
See the F? Do you guys see the F or not?
Nope, I just see the chat.
Now that you pointed it out, it's tiny. I need glasses.
Right. There's a little F on their picture. We're not getting any comments from you guys on YouTube. If you guys, oh, wait a minute. There it goes. Okay.
Gypsy Boy 932, back on.
Now we're back. We're cool. We're in there. All right. Thank you. If you guys left a comment before and we didn't see it, go ahead, leave comment now. I don't know what the hell's going on, but we're going to make it. So, Tiffany, Dave, how do you, all the scenarios we're talking about with this gimbal thing, what do you guys suggest? What do we do? Do we have a butt cap that will go on the rod that'll help the gimbal? What do you do? I'm blown away here on this subject because it's a real subject and it really needs to be addressed.
One of my favorite ones kind of acts both as a normal butt cap, as well as a gimbal. And Batson came out with the RG2, which is both a gimbal and a butt cap. So if you have a fighting in the scenario that you're talking about where you don't know which rod the fish is going to bite on, and one belt has a gimbal, the other belt doesn't, it doesn't matter which one you put it in. This little rubber thing here is a gimbal as well as a normal rubber butt. And that's the key one that I use on my personal rods, because it doesn't matter if there's a bar in it or not. If I'm using a fighting belt, it has that rubber material where it has that, it doesn't like slide on you like a metal one would. And it has the grooves that you can put it into a fighting belt. So that's one of my favorite gimbals. It's both.
I like that. And it's a soft plastic, right? Or
Yeah, it's a rubber.
rubber?
And it's hard. This part's hard, and this part, I mean, it fits just like a bell butt. The only difference is this
Yeah.
one has the grooves and the bell butt doesn't.
And that's Dave Bacon. You always come up with great ideas. This is a great subject to talk about. And we're talking about it like we understand all of you know what we're talking about. But many, and Jeff and EJ and Gypsy, we see you guys now on YouTube. So thank you guys for jumping on there and leaving a comment. Anybody that left a comment before, we're sorry we didn't see them. You can leave your comments now. We're getting them and we can see them. But many times we come into this problem, like I talked about a few minutes ago, and those of you end up with a rod that has one on there, and now you won't use it because it was creating a problem. So Tiffany and Dave, they got ideas on how to fix that, and you should take advantage of that. Bring the rod to the show and ask Tiffany if she can come up with an idea of what to do. If you can put a different butt on the end. A lot of these things are built onto the rod, right, Dave?
Yeah. I mean, your butt end is right. It's attached, affixed, glued to the rod. One thing I used to do is I would make sure that I had a slip-on round end butt cap, just like I would use on a rod that had a little bit bigger diameter, and have it in my pocket with a nice rounded soft end. Because if the rod with the gimbal butt is the one that got bit, and now I'm going to pick it up, and let's say I don't have a rod belt, it's just going to go on my hip or groin, then I'm gonna reach in my pocket and I'm gonna pull out that rounded end one that I have in my pocket that's just the right size to slip over that gimbaled one. Is it going to stay there? It may fall off during the battle, but for as long as I can hold it tight, it's there, and it kind of solves that problem. That's not an elegant solution. Okay. Because it can fall off, and because you have to do something while you're in the middle of fighting a fish. But it's just one way that I dealt with that, or kept from having a sore groin after too long fighting fish in the old days. Having the right size one to slip over it can help. But the reality of this whole discussion is that for all of you rod builders out there, this becomes part of the question and answers that you do with your customers before you build a rod for them. For so many aspects of that rod build, what you need to know is, well, how are you going to use this rod? What are you going to fish it for? You're going to be trolling. You're going to be casting. You're going to be dropping straight down. What is the use of this rod and the intended use of the rod? And then that helps you work with them to pick out all of the components, the blank itself, and all of the components, from that skinny little end to the big thick end of the blank. And now, today's discussion, we're just focusing on one end, the big thick one that is up against you when you're fighting the fish. And so really ask the questions. Are you going to use the rod in a rod holder a lot? And are your rod holders on your boat or your friend's boat, are they gimbaled? Do they have that pin? And so you ask those questions and you help them figure out whether or not a gimbal or a bulbous end is the right rod butt for them. And remember that in much of what we're talking about and who we're talking to and who Tiffany's students are in her classes, where she has these 15-week classes teaching people to build rods, many of them are going into business, and maybe in a big way, maybe in a small way, but many of them are going into business. And so much of what we talk about here in our podcast, Captain Dave, is helping people understand that when working with people, you need to have a whole lot of question and answer in order to help build just the perfect, precise rod that'll solve their problem.
Right. You guys, Daniel Rubin's on here right now. Finally, he showed up. We're going to show this video that Daniel Rubin and I made last year at the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Festival. Then we're going to talk about the California International Boat Show. Real quick, check this out, and then we'll get on to this. And we got so much to talk about with this gimbal thing, because I got some really, really interesting questions. But hold on one second here. Check this out.
All right, gang, your saltwater guide, Captain Dave Hansen. We're down here at the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Show, and I'm with Daniel Rubin, the creator of the ReelQuick reel seat system. This is an amazing, amazing product.
You guys, check this out. ReelQuick Fishing is a dovetail connection. It is in the unlock position for simplicity here. Comes right off the rod with a dovetail connection. No more screws, no more clamps on the back. Goes on the rod just like that, and we can lock this in place. Turn of a pin. This is strong. This is not coming off of this rod. ReelQuickFishing.com. Dave, you want to add anything to this?
The really cool part about this is the simplicity of it. I fish hard all the time. I hold my rod the proper way. I know a lot of you don't. A lot of you have your hand back here. You always want to have your hand in front of the reel. That's the way that the whole design was made to do, is do it the right way. Normally, when you grab it the right way, you're dealing with the ferrule screws right here. And when you're grabbing it and undoing it, the screws keep coming undone. There's none of that happening anymore. It's a very easy system to use the right way. I was blown away when I saw this. I thought it would add a lot of weight to the rod. Actually,
it's an absolutely amazing system Daniel Rubin and Steve have come up with at ReelQuick Fishing. You guys got to check it out. At the California International Boat Show, Tiffany, not only am I going to be speaking, your dad's going to be speaking, you're going to be speaking, but you're also going to be making rods in the booth at the California International Boat Show at the Anaheim Convention Center. I mean, let's talk about that for a few seconds.
It's going to be I can't wait for this show. This is going to be something kind of new to our shows that we go to. We have like this huge booth space for nothing but rod building and seminar speakers like you and my dad. I'll be building rods, supposed to be picking up. Ryan's supposed to bring one of his rods for me to refurbish that I'm going to be working on there. Bits in here and there and other things that people bring to do. So people can watch to see the process of fixing a guide or building a rod. Just a lot of information at this show that's going to happen with the seminars too and demos.
Is Daniel going to be at that show with us? Daniel Rubin?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Be there with the ReelQuick systems to show those off too and explain to people how they work and show them in person how it works.
And the really cool thing is Dave Bacon and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. There's going to be a lot of boats at this show. It's called the California International Boat Show and Outdoor Adventure Show. Therefore, we know there's going to be a bunch of boats there. And you're going to have the opportunity to grab Dave Bacon or grab Dave Hansen, and we can walk over and look at the boat that you're thinking about buying. And we're going to let you know why it is the boat you should have or why it isn't the boat you should have. Something that you should consider when you're there is everything. If you're going to buy a boat, you should get the boat you want. You should get the boat that serves your family. It might not just be fishing. You got to remember there's a bunch of people in your family. So, right, Dave?
Yes, but it should still be all about fishing. Sorry. I am what I am, and that's all that I am.
Absolutely. I understand.
That's in the infamous words of my cartoon hero, Popeye. I am what I am, and that's all that I am.
That I am. Right, right. Yeah. Well, the California International Boat Show is going to be at the Anaheim Convention Center, Tiffany. That's going to be incredible. We haven't had a boat show at the Anaheim Convention Center, so therefore, this is going to be absolutely spectacular. I'm going to be there. Dave Bacon's going to be there. Daniel Rubin just joined us. He's going to be there. And Tiffany's going to be wrapping rods. And then talk about all your students that are going to show up, Tiffany. This is going to be interesting.
Some students, some come from the East Coast that's going to be driving out or flying out, and they're going to be displaying their rods that they've built in the class, as well as selling their rods. So it's a huge opportunity for people to come and really see a variety of different techniques, different styles of rods, where they can buy and help out the students starting, gearing their way to their business. Get their names out there. It's just, everybody kind of works together and helps each other out. That's what my goal is.
Well, I think it's exciting that they're going to have an opportunity to launch. They could be launching a phenomenal business that'll carry on for years and years and years here at the California International Boat Show. Do you guys know that it's going to be on the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th of April? Therefore, we go from the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Show, the two shows, the Del Mar show and the Orange County show, and then we roll right into, I don't know if I'll ever come back to Cabo. We're going to be up there for quite a while.
I'm feeling you will. But I agree with you about this show. I think this show is going to end up just being the boat show for California or the Southwest. It's got nothing but growth potential. It's in a great place for it. And there are so many boat people within half a day's drive of there. So yeah, I think this show is just going to become the greatest boat show we got.
Right. It's going to be pretty spectacular. Do you know what you're going to be speaking about at the California International Boat Show and Outdoor Adventure?
Well, since it's a boat show and not a pure fishing show, in my discussions with them, I'm going to be putting on a talk about boating safety. My work is as a boating safety and compliance consultant / expert. And so much of what I do is teaching people and designing boats and what all goes into them to keep people safe. And so that's going to be by agreement with them. They want me to talk about boating safety.
Perfect. And I'm going to be talking about how to catch more fish on your private boat. I'm going to keep it fishing. You're going to keep it safety. And then Tiffany's going to talk about the rods that you want to put on your new boat, which
how to build them and a whole bunch of stuff.
And as David, I know when you're got your own boat, it's kind of bitching to have your own matching rods that go with your boat. It's kind of a cool deal. You see, a lot of people have done it over the years, and this is your opportunity to own your own boat and own your own set of rods that match in color. Purple and black's been my color since I was a little kid, but I have a mixed match batch of rods now. I got Daniel Rubin, the blue rods. I got the old Saber. I got so much different stuff. Dave Burris used to make me all black with purple wrap. That was it. That was how all my rods were, all black. Every blank was black with purple wrap. That's just what it was. But as you grow old, and God knows we're old now, I got a mishmash applesauce bag of stuff here. Like right above my head up there on the shelf, I got a bunch of rods above me right here. I can't I can't really see. I'm getting all my stuff together because I'm going fishing. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm going fishing up at Adolfo's Lopez Mateos. We're leaving Saturday morning. I'll be up there for 3 days in paradise. If I had one place to only fish for the rest of my life, I think that Adolfo's Lopez Mateos is the place. The mangroves, the beach fishing, the sand dunes, just plethora of different things to do. Either that or boiler rock fishing at San Clemente Island. It's kind of hard to figure out which one I want to do the most. But the California International Boat Show and Outdoor Adventure Show is going to be absolutely spectacular because it's going to allow us to touch more people, because we're going to touch a ton of people at the PCS show, and now we're doing it in San Diego. We're going to touch so many people. But then again, people just want to come out to the shows and see us. So you're going to have an opportunity to hang out with us at the California International Boat Show and Outdoor Adventure Show at the Anaheim Convention Center, which is going to be a brand new show. But I'm super excited about it. Dave's excited about it. Tiffany's excited about it. And I know Daniel wants to talk more than anything. He's about to pee his pants. So go ahead.
Well, I made this rod and I made it in purple. I call it Karen because my roommate that I live with, her name was Karen. She loved purple. And so I'm going to have to gift this rod to Dave. Dave likes purple, and it's got the blue ReelQuick. So, yeah, this will be a rail rod that you can use, Dave, on your next adventure, maybe fishing for bluefin. And that's all I wanted to say. I don't need to pee my pants. Hi, Captain Dave.
Hey.
Dave's, and hi, Tiffany.
Hey, buddy.
Good to see you guys today.
I'd like
Can't wait for the boat.
I'd like to
Go
add
ahead,
on
Cap.
to what Captain Dave was saying about people at the boat show learning from all of us, but especially Tiffany, on how to build rods. And, you know, Captain Dave, you mentioned the nicety of having a matched set for your boat. And yes, that is beautiful. It's wonderful. I can't tell you how many sets of rods Tiffany has made for people. But when we're talking about rod wrapping, we're talking about tubular device wrapping. And so besides a nice complementary set of rods, it's also nice to wrap a complementary set of gaffs and a complementary boat hook that some people use when they're pulling the boat up to the dock. And among Tiffany's students, and especially the ones looking to go into business, which many of them are, there's also wrapping pool cues. There's wrapping golf clubs. There's wrapping walking sticks. I mean, there is so much to this business and so many growth opportunities that, yeah, it's not just rod wrapping we're talking about here. It's wrapping all kinds of things that you can do major art with and have a lot of fun. And that's kind of the magic of those 15-week classes that Captain Tiffany puts on, and has another one that just started recently and has another one starting next month.
Yeah, it's amazing what Tiffany does with these classes and how many people have found you because of these classes, Tiffany, which is really bitching because you run them like a college course, but you do it on a Zoom call so people can come and learn. They can also jump out of the class, jump back into the class. You don't have to go anywhere. You get to do it in the privacy of your own home, which is, as we've all learned since the thing that happened in 2020, we've all learned that it's kind of cool to learn at home and be able to learn in your, like me right now, I'm doing this show in my underwear. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's way cool. And there's just so much to see. And like I was talking about a few minutes ago, you go to the ReelQuick page that I put the QR code up here on the screen right now. You can call Daniel and you can find out, hey, I want to put together this rod that we're going to troll with. Well, now you've got these, we'll just talk about it for a minute, what you're doing with the new bent butts. It's kind of exciting, Daniel.
Yeah, we had a prototype of this at ICAST, but now we have somebody that is going in production on this for us. This slips over the number 2 bent butt, and this has the same size dovetail as the glue-on reel seat, the 27 millimeter reel seat. So anything that goes on this rod, this 27 millimeter reel seat, will switch over and go on to the bending butt sleeve. It's called ReelQuick Reel Seat Bending Butt number 2. That's a 50-pound bending butt. So we're making the dovetail. It's going to be a larger dovetail for the 80 and the 130s to go on your number 4 and your number 6 size bending butt. So that's next. This is going to be a great piece. You'll see it at the boat show. You'll see it at PCS first, actually. But I did want to mention something else, Dave. This is a great piece, but what we're going to bring to the boat show is rod and reel storage that we're working on. So your reels that go on to the bending butt dovetail here and that glue on one I just showed you will be able to slide into place on a wall or in a drawer. Screw this to a drawer. It's going to have a little pedestal or a little stand off of it, but it'll screw right onto wood or into fiberglass or wherever you want to mount it. So your reels are not rolling around on your boat when you're not using them. So we'll have this size available, this size dovetail, and it'll be custom. You'll be able to make any shape you want or mount it to anything you want to. Probably mount it to the side of either the tower if it's a cylindrical thing, or it'll just screw into a drawer. And we'll be making it also for the smaller size. So that's next. That's a beautiful piece. This is reversible, by the way. The notches for the bending butt are on both sides. So you can slide it in this way so the reel comes off towards the guides, or you can flip it around and then it comes off backwards. Super cool stuff coming up. One last thing before I let you guys go for the rest of the show. We're sending product out. This is how it goes out. We got a small and a large reel seat with a couple of feet for some well-known reels. I'm not going to mention them here at the moment, but we've designed and adapted to all the mainstream reels, and this is going back east. This is going to a charter master, charter captain, and one of Tiffany's students that is going to wrap a couple of rods for his boat, and he wants ReelQuick on both of his vessels, and he's probably going to end up wrapping rods for the other guys in the area. Thank you, John, for your order, by the way, and this is coming today. So super cool stuff.
Captain John's a good rapper.
So the reason why I brought up that bent butt is back to what Dave Bacon was saying, and the gimbal, that bending butt has a gimbal on it. When you guys are thinking gimbal rods with the gimbal on it, it's super important to understand when you guys are having Tiffany wrap your rods you want a gimbal on it, you got to let her know. If you don't want a gimbal, or if you want that rubber gimbal that Batson's making, you got to let her know. And Dave Bacon, you summed it up perfect. There's so many questions that you have to ask when you're wrapping rods for someone. You got to know, are you going to troll with this thing? Are you wanting to troll with it? Then you need to know what you want, right, Dave?
Absolutely. And speaking of that, Gypsy Boy asked a question that just made me happy, because that's where we should have started this discussion. What does a gimbal do? What's it for? Let's start there. And Captain Tiffany, if you will hold up that and show the gimbal end, we can address that, because
Which one?
Either one of them.
My favorite.
Yeah, just show. Yeah, see those grooves that kind of go fore and aft and left and right. What those do is they fit onto a pin. They're like this, and they fit onto a pin at the bottom end of a rod holder, or in a rod belt, a fighting belt, or in some cases rocket launchers. If you look at them at the bottom, there's a pin there. And yes, they're partly to keep a rod from going all the way through it, but they're also there to fit into the gimbals at the base of the rod to keep the rods from turning. And the importance of that, especially if you think about trolling, it can be super important, because without that, your rod, if your reel is facing upwards while you're trolling and the boat's vibrating and stuff's happening, and slowly it kind of turns over because of the weight of the reel, and now the reel is hanging on the downside. And you don't want that, because you want to be able to keep an eye on your reel and reach down once in a while, pull a little line out, make sure the drag is set just right, things like that. And so they keep a rod from turning. I guess if I was to bring it down to one statement of what a gimbal does, it's to keep a rod from turning. And if you're fighting it in a rod belt, you're holding it against yourself, fighting a fish, you're not having to exert muscles to keep that reel on the upside, because that's taking care of that part for you. And so that's kind of the main function of a gimbal.
Yeah, and also we deal with a lot of inexperienced fishermen in the industry. Dave and I have over the years, and I'll tell you what, that gimbal makes everybody look like they know what they're doing, because it keeps that reel in the upright position. When you slide that thing into the gimbal and you got somebody that hasn't touched a fishing pole before, but they got their first marlin or their first tuna, it's imperative that that reel stays in the upright position, gang. So that's where the gimbal comes into play, and it's very, very important. And as this bluefin thing evolves and moves along, and as things start to happen, and a lot of you guys are getting bit trolling the Mad Mac, I'll tell you what, if you're using the Mad Mac and you're trolling and you're going to grab that rod out of the holder and fight that fish, and you're not doing the rail rod thing, because with the Mad Mac, you're really not. You're holding that rod up and you're turning the handle. Once you lay it on the rail, it's got a really good chance of the Mad Mac falling out. The gimbal is going to be super important to have on the rod. And this is stuff you got to let Tiffany know, because it can matter. It really matters a lot. I'd never even thought of it until right now, because Dave brought it up. But man, these are super important questions that you want to let Tiffany know when
Exactly.
she's wrapping the new favored rod with the ReelQuick system on there. But I'm telling you, when it comes to that butt section, you want that gimbal. And I like the rubber one. My God, that would just work all the way around. It covers everything, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite gimbal, because you can use it as a gimbal as well as a normal round bell butt.
Absolutely. It's going to be the best thing you can possibly. Before we get to the end of this show, though, Tiffany, how are we doing on our classes? Do we need some more people? Are you filling them up? Is everybody participating? What's going on? Because I am blown away with what you offer. You give away a free blank for simply signing up to the class. And then you get 40% off all the stuff you're going to put on the blank. My God, can you do any better? And is everybody participating?
Class in all my classes, they participate. You were mentioning before how I like to run it like a college. Well, that's how we started it. It was in college that we started the classes. Then COVID hit and we went online. When COVID was over, everybody else went into in classroom settings, and we stayed private. We stayed out. That way everybody around the world can learn how to build rods. So I keep the same curriculum as I did before. And in my classes, it's a little bit different than, your 2-day wham bam, thank you ma'am style classes. I like the students to participate, to enter in the discussions when we talk about different rod powers, different actions, different action deflections, different materials of the guides that we learn, as well as different materials of the blanks we learn. When we get into wrapping different designs, I like the students to jump in and talk about what they know of this material and what they know of that material, how to do this and how to do that. Because there's so many different techniques out there. There is not one right way. There's not a wrong way. As Daniel said to me one day, there's so many different ways to skin the cat. And that holds so true. That saying stuck in my mind when Daniel said that to me, that it is very true. And so the more people talk about that are rod wrapping their ways, the more everybody learns. So it's not just me with the gavel going rah, rah, rah. It's everybody intertwining and learning from each other. And then they bond friendships that way too. And so everybody pretty much works together.
It works out so beautifully that way. The classes really are interactive. And I'm listening like from the other room while I'm writing articles or whatever I'm doing. And I hear everyone interacting and helping each other along. And there's some community stuff there. You know, one thing that's really surprising me, and it shouldn't surprise me, it makes perfect sense, is how the veteran community is diving in to I should say enlisting, is enlisting into these classes and what they're gaining from it. And because in a lot of cases, these are people, especially veterans with some issues coming out of the service, physical, mental, emotional, whatever. Having these skills to be productive, to build something they can sell, make a living with, and have their own small business is super, super meaningful to them. And so, yeah, the veteran community is really climbing into these classes and having fun. I'll make a suggestion to folks. We're working right now on a gift certificate that we're going to have on the site, vaguerods.net, where someone can buy a class. And so, do you know a veteran, have one in the family, in your friends, neighbors, whatever, who maybe looks like they could use a little something to do, a little help? Go on vaguerods.net and look for the gift certificate, or just straight sign them up and gift that person a class with Tiffany to learn a skill that can be vocational as well as just avocational.
Absolutely. Like I'm wearing today my War Heroes on Water hat and my shirt, because the give back for the veterans is something that matters a lot to me. And as we come up onto the War Heroes on Water tournament, I want to tell you all, we need your boats. If you guys are thinking, I want to be in this tournament, if it's a 30-foot or bigger boat that can take a couple guys fishing for a couple of days and have enough food for them, we want your boats. Also, they need some smaller boats as mothership operations, because now we have giant 130, 140 foot yachts that are in this thing that are housing the War Heroes. They need a boat to fish on. So it's an opportunity for everybody to be involved, no matter how big your boat is. You just got to give Rod Halpern and the gang a call. And Rod and the War Heroes will be at the PCS show at the Orange County Fairgrounds on the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Stop by their booth, see what you can do to help. It's all volunteers, and we're all volunteering. And that is a great thing for these men and women that kind of can't really get out there and move around and do stuff, they can wrap rods. You can sit in front of that table and wrap a rod, boys and girls. So that's a cool thing when I'm thinking about it here, Dave Bacon. I never really thought about that. That's a really cool deal to turn the War Heroes onto that. And if you guys have a hero in your family, gift certificates to this class. They might not join the class unless you give them a gift certificate. So check it out and go to vaguerods.net and see what you can do. And I can't emphasize it enough that you have the most spectacular website, Tiffany. You're giving 40% off of this equipment that they're going to buy anyway to wrap their rod. Even if you're not in the class, go over there and look at all the stuff that Tiffany has on her website.
Everything is up to 40% off on the website, whether it's blanks, components, supplies, tools, everything. I like to keep things low so that, not everybody can afford high-end stuff. Well, now they can afford the high-end stuff because I dropped the prices down. And it's quality.
An example of that is, some of the places where many people buy things. I mean, I'll mention Mudhole. A lot of their products. Go on vaguerods.net and you'll see that you can get the same products lower there. So it makes perfect sense. You like low prices for stuff, go on vaguerods.net. They're there.
Yeah.
Well, let's show Tiffany, let's show that build. Can we show the build real quick and you can tell us what's going on here? All right.
Yeah, and then I want to answer Mike Lewis's question. That was a good one that he wrote.
All right. Hold on, Mike Lewis.
Look how tight that is.
That looks great.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
And that's me working on all the angles here.
Look at it one more time here. That's the video you sent me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with the ReelQuick reel seat on there.
Absolutely. It blends right in with my black and purple, boy.
Yeah.
That's the shidizzle right there. All right, Mike Lewis, Tiffany's going to answer your question now.
Mike asked if I've ever had a student do something that I've never done and taught me something new. Absolutely. In rod building, you will never learn every single solitary thing there is in rod building. When the day comes, and this was what Doc Ski always tells me, the day comes where you think you know everything and you can't learn anything on rod building is the day you're done. Because there's always something to learn, whether it be from a student, from something that you saw that puts an idea in your head, like my Tiffany Special Grip, and you're always going to learn something. I learned stuff from Daniel this last month that I never thought of because it was something I've never done. I learned stuff from my dad. Well, I learned stuff from him every day, but that's a whole different story because that's my dad. I've learned stuff from Captain Dave Hansen. I've learned stuff from Lisa, who's a student of mine. She showed me something that she was working on and it caught my eye on something. And I'm like, I didn't think about that. I learned something just the other day from Captain John, who's a student of mine, on wrapping a guide with that, without the seat or without the feet being grinded down. Little technique that he showed me. Every week I learned something new from a student, and that's just something that I love. When a student comes up to me and says, hey, look, I just figured this, will this work? And it's something that I've never seen. And then I said, well, let's do it. And he does it or she does it. And it absolutely works. So yes, I learn stuff all the time from students, whether it be something little or something big. You're always going to learn something in this industry.
Can I tell a Tiffany story?
Oh, God,
No.
hide. You're going to embarrass me again.
Well, she mentioned Doc Ski. And I want to tell a story of how that began. It was years ago at one of the shows. I think it was a Bart Hall show. Well, in fact, then it was a Fred Hall show, and they had Tiffany doing a seminar on rod building. And it was like, she had been rod building. She had all of this, right? But it was like her first time doing seminars at the show for rod building. And so she's sitting there at this table in this large booth area they created for this. And she's talking about rod building, kind of beginning stuff. And these two gentlemen sit down, and she's talking, and she says hi to them. She's very personable in her seminars. And they say hi back. And she goes on a little bit, and she asks one of them, "So have you built any rods?" And he says, "Yeah, I've built a couple." And they go on and whatnot, and she finishes the seminar, and then the gentleman comes up to her and says, "Hi, my name is Doc Ski," and and you've got the knowledge and skills, and you've got this way with people, but you got no ego or attitude. I'm going to be your mentor. That's how that started.
That's amazing.
And now on vaguerods.net, just scroll down a little bit. There is a video of Doc Ski handing Tiffany the teacher's torch to carry on from him.
That's an amazing story. He just sat there and was quiet and watched you work. That's pretty cool, Tiffany. That's pretty cool.
It's embarrassing, Dad.
Nah. And Daniel, one more thing I want to talk to you about before we go. Those rods that you picked up from Tiffany, were they just fine? Daniel's
frozen.
He's frozen.
See, I told you they're not fine. He's smoking crack.
Daniel,
he won't answer.
Frozen in time. He's frozen. He's a wax figure.
But he also told Tiffany many times over, yes, they're fine.
Absolutely. They were fine, Tiffany. You're just a perfectionist. We don't even see what's wrong. We're like, what? What's wrong? There he is. Oh, no, he ain't. There you are. Can't hear you. Don't know. Don't have any volume. You muted yourself.
Yeah, everything's good with the rods, you guys. If you can hear that real quick, the rods were freaking awesome. No problem.
That was
they were good.
Pun intended.
I'm having problems with my internet here, you guys. Sorry.
That's what Dave Bacon and I told you,
Tiffany.
They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine, you little perfectionist. Yep.
How did he do that?
I don't know.
I don't know. The thumbs up gave us the fireworks, baby. That's pretty cool. It's not even New Year's.
No.
All these new things on them. So anyways, that skinning the cat 2 ways there, Tiffany, was meant for private, because that's like a non-politically correct thing, kind of like your wham bam, thank you, ma'am. You guys have a great afternoon. I'm having problems with my internet. Something's going on.
See you, Daniel.
So I'm going to sit in the background.
All right. Go ahead, Dave Bacon.
Tiffany, you saw Matt Ryan's question there? He says, Tiffany, can I call you after the show?
Call me after the show? The rod okay? You gonna bring it to me?
I'm glad we talked about gimbals. To gimbal or not to gimbal? That was the question. And I think we had answers. We done good.
Oh yeah. I didn't know where we were going with this, but boy, oh boy, it brought up a bunch of stuff for me. That's for damn sure. And got to talk about me being naked. So that's always a good day.
Free Willy.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yes. Well, hey, gang, I want to thank you all for watching today. Hope you enjoyed our silly little show. As always, Tiffany and Dave Bacon, thank you very, very much. And check out Tiffany's website, vaguerods.net, for all your rod buildings. And we'll probably bring Bill and Doc back on the show here real soon because I know they had a really good time last time they were on here. So they're getting busy. They're getting ready to do the PCS show, which we're all three are going to be at, and Daniel Rubin and so many more. We're going to be there Saturday at the PCS show, gang. You want to be there for sure on Saturday because Saturday's Fan Appreciation Day, and Kelly Girl and I are feeding all of our fans and all of our followers and all of our members in the parking lot. Make sure you get a ticket for the PCS show at least on Saturday, if not more. And then don't forget about the California International Boat Show. Going to be at the Anaheim Convention Center, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, right? Right?
Yep.
And we're all going to be there, and Tiffany's going to be wrapping some rods there. So come out and see us, and thank you very much for the great day. Have a great day.